Season 11 recently dropped, meaning it's time for me to cover what everyone else is talking about. Bot matches. Look, right, the bots are easy. We all probably knew the bots wouldn't be that challenging, but wow. I mean, it's a great mode for completing contracts, achievements, or World Tour progress, and surely for new players. But when playing with such, unique teammates, it makes you wonder how much they can actually achieve. So today, we're looking through the achievements list of the game, and tallying each bot's personal totals as well as a combined total. If you didn't know, you can actually get matched with Billy, Max, and Barbara, and since they have different loadouts they always use, they have different achievement totals. First off, there's a lot of really repetitive achievements. Obviously, with each build type, they can just play and win rounds, and there's a whole bunch of achievements about just this. Next, there's a bunch of Cashout specific stuff. The bots can only play Cashout, so anything from the other modes is just impossible. Unfortunately, Cashout bots also doesn't currently support all the maps, so it's impossible for them to destroy the Sky Bridge. It seems like Embark wants to change these, so maybe these will become possible soon, but right now they're not. An interesting case here, however, is Participation Ribbon. While it is possible the bots clicked the Create button and are using different contestants than the initial 3, there's only a small amount of proof. This tangent about the tutorial and creating a contestant will be outlined in the description of this video if you want to know why I'm not counting either of them, though I will say you could argue that the bots already have earned these achievements. Next, there's a bunch of really basic stuff, or just doing a bunch of really basic stuff a bunch of times. I should also mention that various achievements here are about the cash-outs or boxes themselves. These ones are actually really annoying, because the bots tend to prioritize fighting over the objective anytime there's an enemy nearby. They really like anytime there's an enemy bot to just stop stealing or drop the box to fight back, which means that these achievements are actually quite hard for the cash-out bots to achieve. I'm going to put damage, eliminations, healing, and blocking next. Some of these are easy enough with some time, and some require a lot of influence from the player to get done. I mean, just imagine to try and play a game where none of your teammates die. But probably the worst one on here is Busybody. If you haven't noticed, Barbara swings her hammer really infrequently. Approximately every about 3-ish seconds. This could be too slow for the achievement, but luckily the sledge has multi-hit, which makes this achievement at least theoretically possible. However, there is an enormous tool that we have yet to mention. Carryables. At first they don't seem important since bots can't pick up carryables. But if they shoot the carryable, they technically have detonated it and have ownership of its damage, which means it counts towards their achievements. Yet, bots still refuse to shoot carryables, so you have to force them by placing it in front of their face and maybe even dropping it so they can deal damage to it. This is actually really flexible for getting the bots achievements. For instance, no bots can really heal. Max has a healing beam but won't use it. But by using the orb, it becomes possible. In some cases, it just gets some achievements easier to achieve, like dealing damage to arenas. But in other cases, parity is reached between the bots. Like, Billy's the only bot with pyro abilities, with the pyro grenade, so barrels are needed for the other bots to get the achievement. A notably difficult one here is Pressure Prize. Depending on where the bots hit it, the explosive carryable can go flying and might happen to hit an opponent in the head, but that's really luck-based and unlikely, though it is theoretically possible, so I'm going to count it as possible for all classes. Very simply, the bots just don't emote or ping. Because of this, the 2 emote achievements just aren't possible. I've tried everything I could, constantly watching them during downtime, emoting myself when we happen to get a cash out to try and peer pressure them in, but it is impossible to get a single expression out of Billy's eyes. Speaking of things bots can't do, movement's a pretty big one. As far as I know, the bots won't try to slide. They can't even crouch, and they avoid going through vents as a result, so this achievement just is not possible. Bots aren't particularly fast either, but there are a whole bunch of ways to set up for a faster vault run for speed run, and some of these ways are even things the bots will do. One of these includes taking ziplines. And by setting up damage over time carryables in the bots' names, all bots can theoretically get this achievement. There are also a bunch of gadget-based achievements. All 3 of the bots happen to have frag grenades, so all these grenade achievements are actually possible on all classes. Space Rock Skipper requires a jump pad and meteor showers. The Finals wiki claims that events don't happen in Cashout bots, but that's actually wrong. However, this achievement is still absolutely impossible because none of the bots have jump pads. And finally, these last 4 achievements are also actually impossible, since bots can't pick up carryables other than the cash box, and will only throw the box on certain scenarios, such as when already close to the Cashout station, or at enemies when they're being attacked. Thus, these 4 don't seem possible. Except for Dodgeball Champion. Though teammates won't pick up any carryables, they can activate each one by shooting. Notably, as we have already discussed, a teammate could shoot a red barrel, which, if done correctly, lets the red barrel fly towards enemies. We can hit them with this. It would be absurdly difficult to do this 3 times within 15 seconds, but there's nothing about it that would make it necessarily impossible. In addition, Barbara has to be very close to an enemy to swing, but it is still quite possible for her to get this achievement. Though it would be extremely difficult in practice, I'm still counting this as theoretically possible on all bots. Though also, there's field goal. While a contestant wouldn't try on their own, it is possible that by throwing a box at the enemy, the box might happen to fall down and sink to a Cashout station by mistake, which could be 20 meters away if the box is thrown from higher ground into a lower ground station. So theoretically, this could be possible. Though the amount of luck needed to pull it off is immense, and there's also really little setup you can personally do except for getting on a cliff next to the Cashout station 20 meters away, theoretically this one is also possible too. And finally, I think we can also do Blastcaster. Some of these achievements have some strange freedoms within them that makes it easier. For instance, with Multitasker, eliminating yourself and teammates with barrels also counts for the achievement, so long as they're different barrels. This makes it much easier to get, since the others will rarely use all their utility. Well, when looking at Blastcaster, we're already really close. Teammates will sometimes already put down mines next to a point they're defending, and with enough carryables, it's theoretically possible for a teammate to happen to drop a mine on a carryable. The main problem is that the only carryable bots will pick up is the cash box. This would make the achievement impossible when we're already almost there. So I started digging at a few other ways to get the achievement. And while browsing through a 2-year-old Reddit thread, I found what seems to be a strange ounce of freedom when getting this achievement. You can just throw mines, for example next to a door, and activate them with an explosive carryable. This, of course, is very possible for bots to do. Unfortunately, the mine can't be a gas mine, it has to be an explosive mine, so only the heavy can actually get this achievement, but it is better than nobody. And that's all the achievements. When we tally up each contestant's personal totals, we see that each contestant only gets 33 achievements, which is 66% completion, except for Barbara, who has 68% because of Blastcaster. Interestingly, Barbara's Sledgehammer gave her different option of achievements, but it balanced out between ranged and melee options. The only reason she has more achievements is because she has explosive mines. If you count how many unique achievements all the contestants can get combined though, it raises to 40, which is 80% completion. That is shockingly high for bots that can't even crouch. Will someone ever bait the bots into getting all their possible achievements? Oh, absolutely not. But is it possible that someone could help them get those achievements? Oh yeah, but it's not going to be me. Thanks for watching.